are you guys? We're going to chat about celibacy today. A random chat in context of healing spirituality, alignment, divine love journey. So yesterday this lady popped on my feed. She was talking about divine love and about celibacy. She was mentioning that it's such a hard journey, that it's so difficult, to be in celibacy, and that this journey is difficult, and that she's been in celibacy for 3 years, and that she sometimes gets quite annoyed when she hears other women, and she was actually quite annoyed in her energy when she hears other women say that they are healing and that they're on journey of spirituality and they are, divine feminines, and still they sleep around or they date, right? So we're going to address a couple of things here. First of all, she's absolutely right? When you claim to be on a journey of spirituality, healing, improvement, divinity, reaching the connection with your soul in context of understanding the meaning of life, that is an absolute no-no when we talk about sleeping around, dating even, right? Because true divine feminine woman, we are the gatekeepers, we are the standard setters. We don't even think about these things. It's like we are so deeply in alignment and so deeply in wholeness within ourselves that we are always energetically open to welcome masculine energy in our lives, but we would have to be sure that this is our divine destined counterpart to welcome him in our life as a partner. True divine feminine doesn't have boyfriends, she doesn't date, she doesn't explore, she doesn't do these things, right? Which is true. So I agree with that part of what she said. But there is another aspect of that message that I wanted to chat to you about, so you are aware and you can go deeper if you resonate with her energy or a similar energy. First of all, this is just a side note. If you are irritated by something, there's always the irritation is within you. So you should think about, so she should probably think about, why is she irritated that other women claim to be divine feminines, yet they sleep around? I mean, I couldn't care less. I mean, it's the biggest Casanova on the face of the planet, as far as I'm concerned, can claim to be a Joshua himself, right? Why would I care? So if it irritates you, most probably it's because she is still struggling on this journey. But it's a completely sort of a side note. But there is one thing that I want you to understand. Because she mentioned that it's difficult, this journey is difficult. And as much as it's true, journey of spirituality is challenging, and divine journey, specifically when we talk about not just divine love, but twin flame divine love, which is incredibly rare and incredibly difficult journey. But when you truly are in your divine feminine energy, right? So you've done enough healing to connect deeply to your divinity, to understand the meaning of life, the essence of life. Why do we come here, right? As human beings, what is really important, what really matters? Celibacy is not a challenge. Celibacy is not a challenge. And it doesn't mean that you become disconnected from physicality and from sensuality. Quite the opposite. The more we grow on this journey, the more we awaken our sensuality, our sexuality, our sexual freedom, because we release on this journey of healing towards divinity what the society imposes upon us as women, which is shame, which is guilt, which is feeling that you have to give back in order to receive pleasure. We really step into that energy of a goddess. I am your goddess, I am your temple, bow before your queen, right? And we really allow ourselves to receive pleasure, not just in sexuality, but in life. We become more open. We become more, through that divinity, we become more sensual and intensely feeling that feeling. It becomes tantric, obviously, because Tantra is nothing but introducing spirit into your life. Tantra is not just something that we talk about around sexuality, but in any aspect of life. So Tantra is just literally bringing spirit into the experience. So it's quite the opposite. But remaining in celibacy is absolutely not a challenge. It's not something that we have to force ourselves or like challenge ourselves. It's like, I'm gonna go on a date and then it's gonna be like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to like hold myself. When you're truly in your divine feminine energy, and I know that there are women who wouldn't understand that, right? Because quite frankly, when I talk to many women, it feels like they feel that I'm not speaking the truth. But true divine feminines will understand, even if you're not there yet, but you're already on the journey. The most attractive man on the face of the planet, which we all know that is Henry Cavill. I think we can all agree on that. He could stand in front of you and yeah, you can, feel attraction. Yeah, you can feel a flirtatious emotion, but it wouldn't be a challenge to say no to him. And the best way I can explain this to you is that I have two analogies actually. It's going to be a little bit different for men, and we're going to address that at the end. But I have two analogies for you to understand that. One is that when you do inner work and self-work, you start to understand that absolutely 100% of what you thought of yourself, of life, of everything was a program and was shadows. So you start to heal, you start to stand in your power, stand in your divinity, you connect to God, you connect to your soul, to the eternal essence of your life, and you understand the meaning of life and the purpose behind us as souls living this human experience. Your life becomes sacred. And we talked about this yesterday when I explained to you guys that in spirituality, as you grow and you activate bliss within, it's nothing but really understanding that the sacredness of life resides in the mundane. And just sitting here on a chair, enjoying the view behind the window, sipping a nice cup of tea. And when you reach that point, your existence itself and the carrier for that existence is your body, is your physical vessel, becomes a temple, a sacred temple of devotion to God. And obviously when we say sacred temple of devotion to God, because there's such a distortion in understanding of God through the distorted religion system, that we feel that this is actually something that kills off sensuality, but it's quite the opposite. Because our sacral space in our body is the center of creation. Through sensuality and sexuality, it is actually how we connect to the divine, because in ecstasy we release energetically our physical body, fully embracing the frequency of our soul. So when you do enough healing, every day and every minute of life is a ceremony, is a ritual. And when you really ground yourself and anchor yourself in that energy, the thought of allowing a stranger that is not ready to devote his full existence and his full life to you as his goddess and his queen, allowing him to touch you is like allowing the most dirty person with the worst shoes to enter the marble palace of your house. It's not fighting temptation. It's not an effort. It's not an effort. And another analogy that I can give to you is when you start to work on a relationship with your body, spirituality aside, we can talk about any person, right? Anyone who realizes I have to really review my relationship with food and what do I put into my vessel. And let's say you start from a moment when you have a really sweet tooth and you love cakes and candy and everything, and you start to take care of your body. You start to exercise, you start to treat your body with respect, you clean your diet, all the things that you can do to all the things that you do to restore healthy relationship with your body. In the beginning, you find yourself in that moment where that girl that I've mentioned in the beginning is. So you already know that you don't want to eat that cake because that cake is not good for you. That cake, it's like, moment on the lips, forever on the hips, right? It's a silly thing to say, but it's true. It's like you're gonna, that it's gonna give you temporary pleasure. But it's not good for you. So you already know that you don't want it, but you have to fight it. It's still difficult. It's still a challenge because you understand this energy, but you're not fully embodying this energy. You haven't anchored yourself in that energy just yet. Now, when you've lived enough time with a healthy diet, connecting to your body, feeling the benefits of it, really treating your body as that sacred temple, that cake can stand in front of you, just like that Henry Cavill, and it's not even going to be a temptation. The even suggestion from someone that you could want to eat this cake is a freaking offense. It's this, I always say to my friends, and my true friends know this because it's a kind of a thing back in the day when we would sometimes, be out there and someone would approach me and try to, I would be, if you watch Friends, there's the scene when Rachel goes on a date and with this creepy guy and she's like, don't touch my coat. That's the energy. That's the energy. And any man that approaches you with an intention that is nothing but, you are a goddess and maybe I could do something for you, but it's like this, want to flirt to maybe, it's like, don't touch my coat. This is my sacred space. This is my body. This is my temple. This is the vessel that holds my eternal soul that lived through lifetimes and realms and came here to help humanity to connect to new earth. Do you really think that you are a temptation for me, sir? No. If you are in your divinity, celibacy is not an effort. It's something that is natural. You don't even think, say, or mention that you live in celibacy, because saying that you live in your divinity, that you are divine feminine, equals celibacy. It is understandable that until you will be united with your divine counterpart, whether that's your divine masculine because you're on a twin flame journey, or whether that's your soulmate, your highest soulmate, until you are united in the physical world with your divine counterpart who is ready to commit, give you intention with devotion, in union, in divine union, intimacy is not even an option. And it's not even an effort to say no. It's not even, it stops even being within, you don't even think about it. You don't even worry. You don't even consider it. Why would you? Why would I ever? Why would I ever? It becomes one of those things, that you wouldn't even consider in your sanity. Like camping. Why would I even want to do that? Do you know what I mean? So if you are on this journey of self-improvement, of, divinity, working on connecting to your divine feminine within, that we all truly carry within, because the soul is divine. Becoming divine feminine is just nothing but standing in the place of your soul, where the ego becomes a beautiful tool and a companion on this journey of life, but a temporary companion, a companion that must obey. The tool, it's remember what I always say, it's not just the mind, but the mind and the ego body, the temporary human part of self is a great companion and is a great servant, but not a great master. The master is the soul. So when the soul becomes the master, you step into your divinity. And when you are in your divinity, celibacy is not an effort. It's not even a point of conversation. If someone, in separation, when someone would ask me, are you in celibacy, I would consider that an offense. Do you don't know who I am? Do you see a life partner in my life? Of course I'm in celibacy. The only reason I would not be in celibacy is for me to have a life partner, my divine counterpart with me. That's the only reason that a divine feminine breaks celibacy in divine union. And I want to mention how it looks like for men, because it's going to be same but a little bit different. Any man who embarks on a journey of spirituality, self-discovery, right? But we're not talking here about twin flame journey, that very rare type of journey. We're talking about any men who go through their journey of awakening, spirituality, they start to work on themselves. They will feel the exact same way. And it's a very offensive and a very programmed and shallow level opinion of people that men that intimacy is something that men cannot live without, and they need. Yes, they can live without it. If a man really steps into his divinity as well, if he really connects to the frequency of the soul, what I've just explained to you, so he becomes a divine masculine, he as well would never allow any woman who is not really his true partner, whose true divine partner, who can hold his vulnerable masculine heart, his beautiful heart, because men receive through their hearts. It's a divine flow that I always talk to you guys about. If you don't know what I mean, you can go ahead, visit my website, link is in my bio, and there's a section divine love in the menu, and there's an article, I think it's divine flow, that explains the flow of energy between the masculine and the feminine energy. So men receive through their hearts. They're very vulnerable in the heart space. So true divine masculine understands that because he is in touch with his heart. And a divine man would never want to be with a woman as just a fling, just one night stand, just something that maybe, friends with benefits or boyfriend, girlfriend. He either wants a life partner or he's not interested. In the same way that a divine feminine, it is exactly same. Now, there's going to be a slight difference with our beautiful divine masculines on a twin flame journey, simply because, so there isn't a difference. When our masculines start to touch the frequency of divinity, so they start to, and I highlight this to you guys always, we don't become divine from one day to another. It's a process. We first understand the frequency, then we start to connect to the frequency, we start to embody the frequency, and finally we anchor ourselves permanently in that frequency. We'll no longer go in and out of that frequency. We already become it. There's no turning back once you reach that divinity, right? So when our masculines start that journey, so they connect to the frequency of the divine masculine already, they start to embody it, they will as well follow a path of celibacy. It may not be conscious, right? Not everyone lives a life of celibacy because, I decided starting Monday I'm going to be celibate, right? Sometimes it just becomes natural because in the beginning, you don't want to be with anyone because you're healing, and then you don't want to be with anyone who's not your counterpart, right? So it's not like you've decided that you're going to be in celibacy, but it just happens serendipitously, sort of naturally in the process of healing. And our masculines, the little difference between a regular man and who is on a journey towards divinity and a divine masculine on specifically a twin flame journey, is that our beautiful masculines, they have to go through certain lessons on that journey. They have to clear out karma. And oftentimes the karma that they have to clear out links to the very shallow physical level of life. This is because us divines on a twin flame journey, we really have to reach the lowest, darkest levels to be able to reach higher. And I always explain this to you guys, and it's not just for divines, it's anywhere in life. You will only go as high on your light, on pleasures, on happiness, on joy of life, as low as you are able to go on your shadows and on the darkness of life. So because us divines, we are programmed, we carry a blueprint within our souls to reach Christ consciousness in the life that we're activated to the journey. We have to go really low on our darkness, and divine feminine does this on the level of a soul. We really go low and deep on our shadows, on the darkness of our shadows, on the darkness of human nature, on the darkness that exists within, right, of this world. And the masculine, because his part is in the physical, in the 3D, he has to go really deep and down and dark on the matrix. This is why our masculines oftentimes go through moments and periods of time when when there's substances, when there's a lot of partying, when there's a lot of shallow level pleasure, when there's a lot of women, one night stands, really shallow level connections, almost the deprived side of the matrix, and right, they have to go through this because they have to experience it to understand how much this cannot exist on new earth that we're going to be building for our children. Only someone who's been through something and understood it will ever be able to resist it once they reach the light, right? And anyone truly on a journey of spirituality will understand, and we talk about this always, people who operate on shallow level, they will stay on shallow level. If you ever want to go higher on the high vibration and frequency, we descend to ascend. It's a spiral. We cannot only ascend. It's impossible. It's an illusion of shallow level, twinkle, sprinkle on top of crab spirituality. I always explain this to you guys. There's always a descent. It's a wheel. Wheel must go down in order to go up. And as we expand, the deeper down we go, right? So our masculines have to go through this. It's a different topic. I don't want to go there in detail. I think I've covered this in my Divine Masculine Masterclass. But it also helps them to cultivate humility. Because the biggest issue with men is that they grew very cocky through generations of patriarchy and distorted system. They have to reach the humbleness that someone who provides things that are not physical in this life, which is the feminine, right, is equally important, if not more, right? So they have to humble. And making mistakes is part of process of becoming humble. So our masculines sometimes hit that moment of celibacy a little bit later on the journey because there's still karmic contracts that they have to complete, right? But a moment will come, so they can hit that little bit later than a regular man on a journey of spirituality and on a journey of healing. And it's also because they heal subconsciously. Our masculine heal from the very inside. There's change happening within them through karmic lessons, through going through that karmic gunk, through descending, reaching literally rock bottom. And then they go outwards, right? So the visibility of the change that happens within them, it's not as pronounced as in a regular person, right? This is why we say that our masculines don't go through classic awakening, which is a Kundalini awakening for feminine, but they go through Satori, which is the immediate awakening. So the change is brewing within them on the inside, but then externally they literally change from one day to another. So as your masculine comes to you to claim union, to break no contact, at this point he already would be living in celibacy. Again, maybe not consciously, but he wouldn't already be connecting to other women. So it's not like he slept with someone yesterday and today he decided that he wants to return to you, right? And build this life with you. So there's usually a period of time when he is just already naturally, he just doesn't want to connect to other women. It becomes just you. He's starting his way back to you when every other woman starts to disappear. But proportionally to his growth, this may come a little bit farther along the way, the journey, that it comes to a regular person on a journey of healing. But in the same time, us divine feminines, we usually hit point of celibacy earlier on the journey than all the other women that walk the path of divinity. So there are many women who still heal, not on a twin flame journey. They heal, they start doing shadow work, spiritual work, they start to grow, but they still date, they still connect to men, because there's growth that needs to happen. But because us twin flames, we're so deeply connected to another soul that is actually same consciousness that ours, we operate a bit differently. So a divine feminine on a twin flame journey, we usually start our journey of celibacy right from the beginning. There's going to be a few feminines that will, make some mistakes, that they will have some karmic contracts to complete in the beginning of this journey. But for most part, most of us, from day one, because our masculine activates us, we just don't see any other men but him. Maybe we're going to do some dating, we're going to do connect to some men, because we also have to learn how the masculine and feminine dynamics operate, not just in a setting of dating, but in a setting of feminine energy getting and receiving from masculine energy. But in terms of intimacy, we will be completely locked for that energy, not because we're waiting, not because we don't want it, but we enter this mode, true divine feminine on twin flame journey. It's either you're divine masculine or you become a crow woman, and you're absolutely okay with that. Both is this a lone wolf energy. Both in your divinity, both options become absolutely acceptable. You understand that you're going to be fulfilled, you're going to be happy, you're going to thrive in life, whether your masculine returns and you're going to be together in divine union. And if that doesn't happen, because ultimately he is free to make his own choices, you will just become a crow woman. You will fully focus on your divinity, on your spiritual gifts, and you will walk this path physically alone, but we're never really alone. We're always with each other, and our energetic imprints are always with each other. Our spirit teams are always with us, our angels. We're never really alone, and true divine feminine never really feels alone, to be honest. You may have moments and waves of feeling, oh, it will be fun to do certain things in the physical together with someone, or have that companion for nice things in life, but it's not loneliness. It's never loneliness. From the moment you heal, it's never loneliness. All right, I hope that this jibber jabber was somehow helpful. If you are on a journey towards your divinity, so bottom line, please remember, if you still feel that celibacy is some sort of a sacrifice and some sort of a why you have to do this, and there's some feminists on the journey that oftentimes say to me, why do I have to be in celibacy when he roams around connecting to random women? You're projecting your own frustration, because you're not celibacy because it's a rule. It's supposed to be natural. Again, don't touch my coat kind of energy, right? Who do you think you are to dare to even suggest that I would want to lay my eyes upon you, right? That's the kind of energy that we get from divine feminines. And sometimes the need for human touch comes in, obviously, not just in intimacy, but like I said, companionship. But you just learn to deal with it, because it comes in waves, just like any emotion. Just like any emotion, it comes in waves, and you know how to auto-regulate. You know how to self-regulate. You don't do ridiculous things to use something external to numb the pain within that will then make you feel worse about yourself, which most people on earth do. You just know how to auto-regulate. You are completely sovereign. In your existence, you are completely sovereign. All right, that's all I wanted to say. I hope you have an amazing day. If you are still here, please share, comment, follow to support, and I will see you soon.